And Shola Abiloye, a lawyer, joins me to examine the role of technology in administration of criminal justice system in the country. Good to have you join us, Shola Abiloye.
Glad to be here.
So we've talked so much about how, technology should be deployed in terms of justice system in Nigeria. That conversation has been ongoing for years now. How is technology a game changer for criminal justice in Nigeria?
Well, absolutely. This is the technology. We're in the age of technology. Gone are the days where paperwork has been the lot of the judiciary. Law is a conservative profession. That's a given, and technology is always ahead. So law has to play the catch-up every time. So to ensure that we have a swift justice delivery system, whether it is criminal justice, whether it is civil justice, we have to deploy technology. Our courtroom need to move away from this paper procedure to go into a paperless and a digital age. This is a digital age, and the courts cannot be left behind. The courts cannot be left behind. We should have an electronic filing system, for instance. Why do we have to have paper lawyers going to court with all their huge files to be filed, assessments and all of that? And of course, if we've not learned any lesson, the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us a very, very brutal lesson of the need to go digital. We need to go digital. The courts, I just saw the clip about the suspended Jusun strike. If you go to the premises of the High Court, or the Court of Appeal, or the Magistrate Court, you will be surprised to see the crowd, the number of people trying to get dates for the matters that didn't come up during the time of the strike. My question is, why should we have so much lawyers in court for no business whatsoever? Can these things be entertained in?
And it's interesting you mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic, and we saw how the whole entire judiciary came to a halt just because we're facing a pandemic, and then we had to socially distance. But how practically challenging will it be to adopt technology for a justice system here in the country?
I think it's not going to be so much of a big challenge. Let's start with the smallest. We have to start small and then gravitate towards something that is more something that will last for a very long period of time. For instance, we have Zoom calls. We have Zoom, we have WhatsApp, we have all this not so expensive technology. This can be deployed. And I'm happy with what the Chief Judge of Lagos State is being, Lagos is always the center of excellence, leading the way for other judicial system to copy. I'm happy that we now have judicial proceedings, court proceedings taking place on Zoom. That can be done. That happened during the pandemic, during the lockdown. Some judges delivered judgments via Zoom. Some judges have interactions with counsel via WhatsApp. This is not expensive. With data of 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, your court registrars can communicate with the lawyers, and the judges can then say, okay, fine, what's going on? But of course, we have all these challenges about data and network issues, where you have lawyers will be saying, my lord, can you hear me? Can you hear me, my lord? Can you hear me, my lord? So, of course, we have problems, but we have to start from somewhere. There's a sustainable technology. I was in another forum when I was talking about a matter that took place in the High Court in London. Judgment was delivered in the morning. An appeal lodged to the Court of Appeal in London that same day. Preliminaries they had to do with the appeal heard and determine that same day, 24 hours. You can have that done in 6 years here in Nigeria.
So, and that's because the High Court is in London, the Appeal Court is in London.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that here in Lagos, Lagos State has started putting things in place. Judiciary in Lagos State has started putting technology in place.
Yes.
But let's assume, because we're seeing what is playing out with the electoral system and the card readers. Let's assume, for example, a court here in Lagos decides that, look, because we have the wherewithal, we're going to deploy technology in the dispensation of justice here, and then a case emanating from Lagos State and then moves to another jurisdiction, maybe the Appeal Court or the Supreme Court, and that case used technology. Would that case or the evidence, if it may be evidence presented in that case, would it be recognized maybe in the Appeal Court outside Lagos?
Absolutely. You see, our problem in Nigeria is not the presence or absence of laws. We have laws that regulate the taking of evidence, and electronic evidence has now been entrenched in our legal system. For instance, the Evidence Act recognizes electronically generated evidence. It recognizes all forms of electronic evidence. These have been tested from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. So we have judicial authorities, Supreme Court decisions that recognizes electronic evidence. So that is not a problem at all.
Does it also recognize a lawyer or whether maybe a defendant or a plaintiff, appearing in court virtually?
Well, of course. I mean, you see, the interesting thing about the Constitution is that it vests powers on the various heads of courts to issue practice directions, more like administrative directions, to say this is how our court should run. And you can see, I gave an instance about the Chief Judge of Lagos State issuing practice direction pursuant to his constitutional powers to say, okay, Zoom call, WhatsApp call, and all of that, to ensure quick dispensation of justice. Don't forget, justice delayed is justice denied. What do you have to gain if you have a matter that's supposed to last for 6 months to 1 year, takes place all the way to 6 years, 7 years? We have lawyers who have matters now, for instance, at the Supreme Court for the past 6 years, no dates. Court of Appeal, the same thing. So why can't this be done? If Lagos is leading the way, Lagos can do more. We talk about electronic filing. We have electronic filing in Lagos State, but that is not what the rules of court really envisages. What the rule of court is envisaging is a situation where you can sit down in the comfort of your living room, on the comfort of your office, access the website of the judiciary, file your system, pay for all your processes, and then you can have, from electronic filing, it goes to electronic registry. Electronic filing, electronic registry, electronic service. You don't need to have court registrars moving all over the place, bailiffs all over the place. The challenge with this
going forward is going to be whether the lawyers and the judges themselves, and the judicial staff are ready for this. I'm sorry, we do have to leave it there because of time. I know this is a very important conversation. Lawyer Shola Abiloye, thanks for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.